If you are already dreaming about your 2026 cruise, there is a good chance the vacation you actually take will look very different from the one you think you are booking today. Before we dive in, subscribe to Cruise Adventure and hit the bell so you do not miss important cruise updates. For years, cruising has felt predictable. You pick a line you like, you earn some loyalty perks, you enjoy your drink package, and you relax knowing most things are included. That familiar picture is starting to crack. Behind the glossy brochures and limited time offers, cruise lines are quietly rewriting the rules on loyalty, pricing, and what all-inclusive really means. In 2026, the small print will matter more than ever. Your hard-earned status might be worth more on some lines and a lot less on others. Fees are creeping into places that used to feel completely free, from main dining rooms to room service. Private islands and premium beach clubs are turning paradise into a big new revenue stream. At the same time, rising tourism taxes and tougher environmental rules are pushing up the real cost of a cruise, even when the headline fare looks like a bargain. If you understand these shifts now, you can still plan an amazing cruise. You will simply be doing it with your eyes wide open. If you have ever chosen a cruise line mainly because of the perks and status you earn, 2026 is going to feel like a turning point. Loyalty is no longer just about how often you sail. It is becoming a tool for cruise lines to reward some guests more than others. And your reaction will depend a lot on the brand you love most. Let us start with some good news. Royal Caribbean Group is doing something that many frequent cruisers have wanted for years. They are introducing a system called Points Choice. From early 2026, if you sail with any of their major brands, Royal Caribbean, Celebrity, or Silversea, you will be able to choose which loyalty program you want to collect points in. If you are a Diamond member with Royal Caribbean but decide to try a Celebrity cruise, you can still grow your Royal Caribbean status, and the same works in reverse. It is the first time a big cruise group has truly connected its loyalty programs in a way that rewards guests who like to mix brands. Instead of feeling punished for trying something new, you are rewarded for staying within the same family. There is one important catch. Points Choice only applies to cruises booked after the program launches. Even so, it is a move that gives you more flexibility without making you start from zero every time you board a different ship in the same group. On the other side, things look a lot more controversial at Carnival. The long-running VIFP program is being replaced with a new system called Carnival Rewards, launching on the 1st of June 2026. The big shift is simple but dramatic. Instead of earning your status based mainly on how many nights you spend at sea, your tier will now be based on how much money you spend, including your cruise fare and what you buy on board. You will earn stars that decide your tier, plus separate points you can redeem for onboard credit and discounts. Big spenders who book suites, premium dining, and lots of extras may climb the ladder faster than before. But for travelers who love shorter trips or sail on a tight budget, it can feel like the rules just moved against them. Many see it as a pay-to-play model, where your wallet matters more than your loyalty over time. The reaction from longtime Carnival fans has been intense. In response, Carnival has offered a key concession. Existing Platinum and Diamond guests will keep their status until the new program launches, and anyone who reaches Diamond before June 2026 will keep lifetime Diamond status. That softens the blow, but it does not erase the feeling that the definition of loyalty is shifting. If Carnival makes this new model work, other lines may quietly follow. Loyalty programs are not the only thing changing. Even if you never chase status, you will feel the next trend in your daily cruise life. It is the slow rise of extra charges in places that used to feel completely included. Many cruisers call it the nickel and dime effect. One of the clearest examples is in the main dining room. For a long time, the idea was simple. You sit down, you order what you like, and if you want to try a second main course, that is just part of the experience. Now, more lines are adding small fees when you go beyond that first entree. Norwegian Cruise Line has introduced a charge of a few dollars if you order an additional main course in the dining room. The official explanation is that this reduces food waste, and that sounds reasonable on the surface. But for guests, it often feels like another cut into something that used to be fully included in the fare. The problem is not just the money. It is that the old rule of order what you like and enjoy your dinner is slowly being replaced by limits and add-ons. It becomes even more frustrating when the first dish is simply not good, and guests say they are still asked to pay the extra fee for a replacement. In those moments, it is not about $5. It is about feeling that service standards are slipping while the bill keeps growing. You can see a similar pattern when you step off the ship and onto certain private islands. Take Norwegian's Great Stirrup Cay as an example. The line is investing heavily there with new attractions and upgrades, but along with the improvements comes a major change. Guests who have a shipboard drink package as part of the free at sea offer will no longer be able to use that package on the island. If you want alcoholic drinks or specialty beverages on the beach, you either have to buy an island-specific drink package or pay for each drink individually. Many cruisers feel like they are paying twice, once for the package on the ship, and again for the privilege of having a cocktail on the cruise line's own island. Even in your cabin, small changes are adding up. Room service used to be one of those simple pleasures of cruising. Today, many lines still include a basic continental breakfast for free, but more and more items come with delivery fees. On some ships, there is now a set charge each time you order, plus limits on how many hot and cold dishes you can request in a single delivery. Around the ship, small service reductions are often framed as sustainability measures. For example, some cabins now have only a duvet and a fitted sheet, with no separate top sheet. Taken alone, any one of these changes is small. Together, they create the feeling that the all-inclusive comfort of a cruise is being chipped away, one tiny fee and one tiny cutback at a time. All of these small shifts lead to a bigger question. Is a cruise still an all-inclusive vacation, or is that idea slowly turning into a marketing phrase? Some of the clearest answers come from cruise lines that used to make simplicity their main selling point. Take Virgin Voyages. When they first arrived on the scene, one of their biggest promises was that the price you saw already included almost everything. No traditional tipping, no awkward envelopes at the end, no long list of surprise charges. You paid once and you were done. That is now changing. Gratuities are no longer built into the base price in the same way. Instead, they appear as a separate daily charge per person. On a typical 7-night cruise, that adds up to well over $100 extra per sailor. The cruise itself might not look more expensive at first glance, but by the time you add those daily charges, the difference is real. At the same time, Virgin is introducing a new fare structure with several tiers. Instead of one clear price that covered almost everything, you now choose between different levels that each include or exclude certain perks. The most basic option is usually the cheapest, but it also comes with fewer benefits and less flexibility. The middle option adds extras like faster internet and better access to reservations. The top tier includes premium connectivity, more credit to spend on board, and the most flexible cancellation rules. On paper, this gives you more choice. In practice, it also means more small print and more chances to pay extra for the version of the cruise you thought you were getting in the first place. Princess Cruises is also changing the way its pricing feels, but in a different way. They have been advertising lower headline fares, which sounds like great news. The catch is in how you book. Non-refundable deposits are becoming the default option. Refundable deposits are still possible, but you will usually pay a higher price if you want that flexibility. If you are confident about your travel dates and you love a good deal, a non-refundable deposit can work in your favor. But for the average traveler, the risk is higher. Life happens. Plans change. When the default is non-refundable, you need to be more certain before you commit, or you could lose that deposit if something goes wrong. Put Virgin and Princess together, and you can see the trend. The idea of one simple price that covers nearly everything is fading. In its place, we are getting layered fares, separate gratuities, and tougher deposit rules. You can still get great value, and you can still have an amazing time at sea. But the old dream of a truly all-inclusive cruise, where you pay once and never think about money again, is becoming more of an illusion than a reality. All of this is happening at the same time as cruise lines are pouring money into something that looks like pure paradise. Their own islands and exclusive beach clubs. On the surface, this is great news. New slides, new pools, new restaurants, picture-perfect photo spots. But just like everything else, the way you pay for that paradise is changing too. Take Norwegian's private island as an example. Great Stirrup Cay is getting one of the biggest upgrades in the company's history, with a huge water park, a lazy river, new bars, new dining areas, and a proper pier so you no longer have to tender back and forth in small boats. For families and for anyone who loves a beach day, that all sounds fantastic. The catch is that some of the perks you are used to having on board, like your drink package, simply do not follow you onto the island. Royal Caribbean is taking a slightly different path with its new Royal Beach Clubs, but the idea is similar. These are not free private islands that are included just because you are on the ship. They are closer to high-end day resorts that you pay extra to access. The first ones are opening in very popular locations like Nassau and Santorini, with infinity pools, curated food, comfortable loungers, and staff focused entirely on guests from the ship. To enjoy that, you buy a day pass that can cost well over $100 per person, and sometimes much more than that, especially in premium destinations. Often the pass covers food and some drinks, so on paper it is an all-inclusive day. In reality, you have already paid for your cruise, and now you are paying a second time for the privilege of spending the day at a place designed and controlled by the same company. For some guests, this is exactly what they want: a safe, beautiful, easy environment where everything is managed for them. For others, it feels like the heart of travel is being replaced by a theme park version of the destination. While all of this is going on, there is another set of changes that are less visible when you book, but very noticeable when you look at the final bill. Taxes and fees. These are not as exciting as a new water slide or a fancy beach club, but they might have a bigger impact on what your cruise actually costs. Some of the most dramatic changes are happening in places that are already bucket list destinations. Hawaii is one of them. New rules are bringing in a brand new tax on cruise passengers. It is not just a small port fee, it is a percentage-based charge tied to the portion of your fare for the days your ship is in Hawaiian ports. Depending on your itinerary, that can add up to many tens or even hundreds of dollars per person. Other countries are moving in the same direction, just with smaller numbers. In Mexico, a tourism tax for visitors is increasing, and in many cases it is charged separately, rather than quietly folded into the base fare. In popular European destinations, there are also per-person tourist taxes that change with the season, and cities like Amsterdam have introduced their own day taxes for cruise guests. None of these charges on their own will usually make or break a trip. Together, they slowly change what we think of as an affordable cruise. The tricky part is how these costs are presented. When you first look at a cruise, you see the headline fare. Under that, there is usually a separate line for taxes, fees, and port expenses. That number can be surprisingly high, and it is the part that keeps growing as more destinations add new charges. If you only focus on the main fare, you can miss how much your total cost is being pushed up by taxes you never really see in the advertising. On top of local taxes, there is another force driving prices and itinerary changes, and this one is all about the environment. Around the world, governments and ports are tightening the rules on cruise ships, especially when it comes to emissions. Starting in 2026, new environmental regulations in regions like Europe will force ships to use cleaner fuels or advanced systems to reduce pollution. Cleaner air and cleaner water are positive goals, but cleaner fuel and new technology are expensive. Cruise lines are spending large amounts of money to modernize their fleets, and in the end, that cost usually finds its way into what guests pay, either through higher base fares or through new fuel surcharges and environmental fees. Ports themselves are also starting to limit the number of cruise passengers they welcome each day. Places like Venice, Santorini, Dubrovnik, and parts of Alaska have all discussed or introduced caps and restrictions. In some cases, very large ships are banned from certain areas altogether. That means cruise lines have to adjust itineraries, swap popular ports for less crowded alternatives, or reduce the number of visits. You might pay more for a cruise that no longer includes the iconic port you had your heart set on, simply because the rules have changed. When you put it all together, 2026 is shaping up to be a year of big shifts at sea. Loyalty programs are changing what your status is worth. New fees and fare structures are reshaping the idea of all-inclusive. Private islands and beach clubs are turning paradise into a premium extra. Taxes and environmental rules are pushing up costs and changing where ships can go. None of this means you should stop cruising. Far from it. Cruising can still be one of the most enjoyable and efficient ways to see the world. But it does mean you need to be more alert than ever before. Read the small print. Check what your package actually includes. Look closely at the taxes and fees line. Pay attention to how loyalty is earned and where your perks apply. If you do that, you can still get amazing value from your cruise and avoid the worst surprises. You will board knowing what you are really paying for and what you can expect in return. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these changes for 2026 worries you the most, and which ones do you actually like? Tell me in the comments what you think. And if this helped you feel more prepared for your next trip at sea, make sure you subscribe to Cruise Adventure and hit the bell so you do not miss the next set of straight-talking cruise tips.